Hello, chickens. Let's get this party started. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about health and safety and in ceramics, in a pandemic, in school. So this is for the 2021-22 school year. Let's do it. I'm going to power through as quickly as I can. So bear with me if I seem like I'm talking fast. All right, let's get it going. This year, you need to wear a mask inside the classroom, inside the studio, properly over your nose and over your mouth. So from nose to chin, at all times inside the classroom. If you need a mask break for whatever reason, just get my attention, raise your hand, and ask for one. You can sit outside on the bench and take like a little 3-minute mask break. Get something to eat or drink. It's cool. Just talk to me. All right. Always be sanitizing. They want you kiddos to be sanitizing your hands with the squirt on your way in and out of the classroom. We also have alcohol wipes provided, but we're not going to get really hardcore about these things. If you'd like to do it, go for it. If you forget, it's not a big deal. It's mostly an airborne issue. Okay, moving on. All right. In case we have an emergency, you need to notify me immediately. So if someone gets hurt, I need to know about it. So tell somebody, tell me right away, no matter how big or how small, then I can help. Notify the instructor immediately. Do not leave without telling anyone. Like people have been like cut themselves and they're bleeding and then they just like run away. We don't know that they're hurt. So please tell us, don't leave. If it's a non-life-threatening emergency, you're going to dial on the landline. There's a phone in here that's a landline that's connected to a cord. You're going to dial 2095. That's going to go straight to the front office. And you could say, hey, we need some help in here. You know, like I might ask you to do this. Be like, go to the landline phone and call the front office. That's 2095. Remember it. If there's a life-threatening emergency, say, for example, one of your classmates or even me goes into cardiac arrest and we start doing CPR on that person, it's like a life or death situation, you're going to need to call 911. You can do it from your phone. That's easy peasy. But if for some reason you don't have access to a cell phone, you can come into the landline here. You need to dial 9 and then 911, because if you just dial 911, it's not going to go anywhere on this landline. It'll just stay internal. So 9 and then 911. All right. Say we have to evacuate to the football field. This is like regular standard practice. We do it a couple times a school year for practicing's sake, for fire drills and whatnot. We're going to go out our front door here. We're going to go out the gate and we're going to go down the street, down 6th Street. And we're going to line up on the home side on the 45-yard line. You're going to sit down in the line and wait to be counted. Easy peasy. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about run, hide, fight training. And this is different scenarios. Could be an active shooter, could be a just anything scary and bad you can imagine happening around school or around town. But these are some pretty important skills to think about and talk about beyond school if you end up, if you're just in any public place and something like this happens. Okay, so it's a bit serious, so let's just get into it. All right, first we're going to talk about a run scenario or run situation. This is when you can easily find a path to run away from known danger. So this is a scenario where if the source of the danger is known and there's a clear path to safety. For example, say we can hear gunshots or explosions very clearly from the quad area, and we're here in the studio, and we can definitely tell where it's coming from. Then we are going to run together as a class in the opposite direction to safety. It's kind of common sense stuff. So run away from known danger through a clear path of safety. Don't carry anything. We don't need to bring anything. We're going to encourage others to join, keep moving, and then we're going to call 911 when we're safe. And law enforcement would like us to run with our hands up so that they know that we are not the perpetrators, that we're the victims. And we're going to keep running until we're at a safe location, whatever we decide together, and we will call for help and let people know about it. So that's a run scenario. So the danger's known, run away. Okay, in a hide scenario, a hide, a lockdown, or a barricade scenario, this is a scenario where the source of the danger is unclear, off campus, or maybe there's no clear path to safety. So a situation like this could be somebody calls in like a bomb threat, or some, something gets posted on the internet. This could be a situation where maybe there's something happening on base and they lock down all the schools. Or this could be a situation where we're in the classroom and we hear like gunshots or explosions and they are like all around us, like surrounding the studio, and we don't feel like there's a clear path to run away. So this is a scenario, or they just come over the loudspeaker and tell us we're going into lockdown. You know what I mean? So we're going to hide and lock down. And so some of the protocols we're going to do is we're going to close and lock all the doors and windows. I'm going to have everybody hide in the classroom, but you want to spread out to protect yourself. So don't clump together with like 40 people in the glaze room, or so on and so forth. So you have a better chance of survival if you spread out evenly. Barricade and block the doors. Maybe some people want to grab some wheels and stools and things, and we just like barricade the doors so that no one can come in. We're going to turn off the lights, make opening the door more difficult. That's barricade. And then wait for instructions. So either wait to hear from law enforcement. They'll probably get over the loudspeaker, or the principals or someone will say when it's safe to come out. And then at that point, we'll be taken off campus to a location to reunify with parents. That's a hide or lockdown / barricade situation. And then last but not least, which is the scariest one of all, which is a fight and or disrupt scenario. This is a scenario where the source of the danger walks into the classroom. And so if somebody walks into my classroom with intent to harm my chickens, I'm going to fight that person. I'm going to tackle them. I'm going to throw things at them, and I'm going to do my best to stop them. What I hope you will do is escape, because if you see a clear danger and there's a clear path to safety, then escape. If you are going to fight, or then they want you to tackle, hit it across knees and arms. And they say that by disrupting and distracting and throwing objects really does slow these perpetrators down. There's some research behind all this. And then once you escape, call 911, give a description of the person, or tell 911 as much info as you can. Okay, moving on to easier subjects. Going to the bathroom. One person at a time can go to the bathroom. Please ask at a respectable time, not when I'm in the middle of lecturing or demoing or giving out important information. If it feels like things are kind of lulled down, then that's a good time to send me a little signal and say you need to use the facilities. That's fine. Please ask me and I will give you like a thumbs up, like cool. And then that way I'm aware who's out of the room or like who's away. So if we do go into those lockdown or evacuate situations, I'll be able to say, hey, so-and-so is out in the bathroom. Additionally, you're going to sign in and out on the clipboard. That's also going to help me to remember who's out of the room at the time. We don't double check these clipboards. It's mostly for emergency situations. So just take 2 seconds and sign out and sign in on the clipboard. You could even sign your name out and then put a check mark when you come back in. Easy peasy. Keep it simple. This is about emergency stuff too, And then let me know when you come back. Like you come back in, you're like, I'm back. And then I know I can send somebody else and blah, blah, blah. Ugh. Okay, moving on. The gate outside of ceramics. Officially, this is not an entrance. They really want everyone to walk in the main gate. Please, what I mainly want to say is do not jump over this gate. People have hurt themselves jumping over this gate. And so if you are in really bad shape, I would rather prevent an injury and let somebody in that gate than watch someone jump over the gate and hurt themselves. So just don't count on it to be your entrance every day. All right, here we go. Ceramics. There are some dangerous materials that we work with in clay, and they can enter your body through 3 ways. Through absorption, which is contact with the skin, ingestion, which is eating and drinking, and inhalation, which is breathing. Okay? Remember it. Through your skin, eating or drinking, breathing. Through skin contact. Sometimes people have allergic reactions to clay, or they're allergic to dust, or they're allergic to things like copper or chrome or iron. And all those things are in glaze and in clay. And so if you have an allergy maybe you don't know about, just keep an eye. If you see like red marks and breakouts and things like this where you've touched the material, then let me know immediately. Additionally, if you have any open wounds, this is icky, any open wounds at all on your hands, and you're going to be using this glaze, mainly the glaze is my concern. Clay is pretty benign when it comes to like cuts. Like if I have little cuts on my hands, I don't wear gloves. But if I'm glazing, I do. If you're glazing with these buckets of glaze, you're going to put a glove on your hand. Otherwise, I put my bare hands in these things all the time. Long story. Ingestion or poisoning. That's like eating ceramics. I don't know why you want to, but sometimes people do. But there are some heavy metals and materials and things that we use to make the glaze that you don't want to eat. And if you do end up eating clay, you can get an intestinal obstruction, aka very constipated. So this is poop from people who ate clay. Here's what it looks like under the microscope. And it actually gets all like gums up the work in your intestines and causes you some real bad troubles down there. It's no fun. Additionally, we don't really eat in the studio. We have to wear our masks inside here all the time. But on occasion, it does happen. I mean, I eat in here all the time, but I'm like very careful to be away from clay and glaze. And also I always clean up because we have had lots of icky critters like cockroaches and mice from food in the studio. Okay, here's an important one for me mainly. And we're going to talk about silicosis. This is a chronic respiratory disease from inhaling or breathing clay dust, because clay is made of silica, and the silica in clay's dust over a long period of time, or long periods of exposure, can cause permanent lung damage. Looks like this, where the normal little tissues that where air exchange happens get ripped and torn and make it difficult to breathe. It's almost like it's like worse than emphysema. And so this is really an issue for myself because I have been working in ceramic studios for, I don't know, 15 plus years and plan to forever. And so mainly my concern is just keeping my studio extra clean so that I don't breathe a lot of dust. It's not a real issue for you students because you're not exposed nearly as much as me, but it is a team effort. So any kind of crumbs of clay like this that land on the floor, people step in them and they cause a lot of dust. We never want to use brooms and sweep up clay because it kicks up and creates these little microparticles that cause dust. So the main thing that I'm going to ask of you is we're always going to be cleaning up, and when we clean up, we use a sponge and water, just big yellow spongy and water. The wet method keeps the dust down and cleans it all up and helps me live a long, healthy life. Another thought I had was one other benefit, additional benefit to wearing masks in the studio is it prevents you from breathing silica dust. So you're going to have virtually zero exposure to silica dust this school year. And protocols, COVID protocols required. So wear your mask. Okay, some other issues I see around the studio is sometimes people use bad posture when they're throwing on the wheel. They end up kind of hunching over and like hurting their backs, and also lifting heavy things. So when we lift heavy boxes of clay or anything that's heavy whatsoever, you want to lift with your legs. And when you're using the wheel, I'm going to talk to you a lot about body positioning. Depending on if you're a large body, like a tall person, or a full-bodied person, or a smaller body person, we'll make sure that we put you at a wheel that is at a comfortable height for you to use the wheel and not hurt your back. Okay, electrocution. Okay, there's one rule really that I have is you should be wearing shoes around the studio all the time, mainly when you are putting your foot on these metal pedals that we have with the wheels, because water, metal, and electricity don't mix well. So you just, I guess there have been instances, not in this studio, but in other places where people have inadvertently electrocuted themselves by putting a bare foot on a pedal. However, we do use our bare hands on the wheel, and you could essentially use your bare feet as well, but you wouldn't want to take this bare foot and put it on the pedal. Okay. Another thing about when we get on the wheel is if you have long hair, you need to tie it up or tie it back. Just put it up, because what can happen is you are bending over and you're working on the wheel and your hair comes down into the clay, and it can get caught in the clay and literally pull your whole head into the wheel and hurt yourself. So I have plenty of hair ties for you guys to and pull up your hair. This is Mrs. LeMay, Mr. LeMay's wife, Carol LeMay, and she is my assistant and helps around the studio every week. And one job that she does is she helps recycle our little clay scraps. We have like a little scrap bin. We call it the chum bucket, and you'll see all kinds of clay scraps in there. And it's really important that the only things that go in the scrap bin or in the chum bucket is clay and water. Unfired clay. So clay that hasn't been in the kiln, and water. It could be wet clay, dry clay. It can be, like sloppy wet or bone dry. Either way, it has to be what we call greenware. And greenware is clay that has not been fired. One thing that accidentally happens is things like this go into the bucket accidentally. People throw their tool, they dump their whole bucket, and all these tools and random stuff land in the recycle bucket. And then as she recycles the clay, she can get stabbed or poked by these needle tools, or these metal ribs literally act like knives, and they will cut you severely. So it's really important that we just take a minute and make sure that the only thing that goes in the chum bucket is greenware. See, in this time there was a pencil thrown in there, and it's just a really dangerous, scary thing. Also, bisqueware, clay that's been fired, or bat pins. If anything that's not wet, soft clay can damage the pug mill, and is an issue. So here's our pug mill. You'll get to know him. His name is Peter. And here's our recycled clay. We keep it in black bins these days. You'll get to know it. Okay, moving on. Kilns Get Hot. We're almost done. At other schools and other studios, when you see a kiln that's firing, you may actually see fire coming out of it, like this one, or underneath it. So in this situation, you might look at it and go, oh, wow, that is hot. But our kilns look like this, and they have lots and lots of safety features that prevent you from hurting yourself. But this is why I think it's very, very important that you should never, never, ever touch a kiln unless I'm there and I ask you for help. Keep your eyes peeled for these hot kiln signs. I put these on the kilns when they're firing, and that means that this kiln is hot and could burn you, and we don't want to get burned. It's really, really serious. So do not touch the kilns unless I'm there asking you for help, which will happen. I'll say, hey, kiddos, we all need to go inside and load your pieces into the kiln. And it's a team effort. And so we'll be loading these and unloading these. And I will make sure that you know you're safe. But don't do it. Don't do it unless I'm asking you. And then to prevent slips and trips, just wipe up any water or slop or slip or whatever with a big yellow sponge. And we also have a mop-in bucket. We want to prevent people from slipping and falling in the studio. We did it! Thank you so much for listening, and be sure to pay attention because you are going to have a quiz on this subject. Okay, loves, take care.